my own professional conduct and inappropriate language I used during a private conversation after City Council meeting was over November 25th. The comment brought on by remarks about a local pastor and his wife, which questioned his religious beliefs, which I found offensive. Regardless of this circumstance and the nature of the comment, as your councilman, it is my personal responsibility to maintain a high level of professionalism and respect in all communications with the residents. In this situation, I failed. In the future, I will do my best to represent you in the highest professional manner possible. Thank you very much. Rich?
First up to publicly speak, we have vinelandCityHall12. Following him, Stephen Byrne.
Sorry, but all right, thank you. Good evening. In the closing remarks of the last City Council meeting, my name is Zach Lampsini. I live in the city of Vineland. Thank you for letting me speak. Good evening. In the closing remarks of last City Council meeting, Councilmember Spinelli stated that the Data One construction on Lincoln Avenue has been in development for 5 years. This comment is misleading at best and simply not true when reasonably considering when the public would be aware of this construction. Let's try and start from the beginning. From 2018 to 2022, over $4 million in grants and loans were awarded to Northeast Precast by the city. This hardly seems like a fair beginning of the timeline, especially considering that during this period there was no public statement regarding the data center, let alone construction. In March of 2022, the rezoning of the land was first proposed, roughly 3.5 years ago. Arguably, this is a fair start of the timeline, though still at this point there was no public statement regarding a data center at the South Lincoln Avenue site. Construction of the existing data center building did not begin until the summer of 2024, with the first phase of the construction being completed in 2025. The Vineland Water Utility presented an analysis to the Planning Board on June 25th, 2024. At this time, many of the details regarding the water usage of the data center were unclear, a result of lack of details provided by the developer, Data One, and Nebius. To date, as far as the public is concerned, these details have not been provided. Nevertheless, the Vineland Water Utility projects an annual water usage of roughly 200,750,000 gallons based on the approved site plan. Why is the city satisfied with this ad hoc analysis of water consumption done with no input from Nebius or Data One? If they are not satisfied, why are they voting today on a loan of over $6 million to accelerate the development? Rather than scolding the community on the timeliness of our pushback, the members of City Council should be working with the community to address all of our concerns. No air quality study, an inadequate and ignored water use study, misrepresentation of noise pollution by some people in this room tonight, an expedited timeline that has left the community scrambling for answers. Over the course of the last month, we have spoken with over 500 Vineland residents. An overwhelming majority have stated that they know little to nothing about this project. If the City Council does not want to be accused of rubber stamping development, they should listen to the public instead of belittling our concerns. Can any member of City Council point the public to a single instance where they have mounted any pushback on this project? The responsibility is on those elected to prove to the public they are diligently seeking out every pertinent detail before voting to fast-track a project that will jeopardize the resources and well-being of the community they serve. As of right now, regarding this project, from our perspective, this city council and the mayor have failed on this front. Vote no on the $6 million loan that's on the agenda today. Work with the public to appoint a qualified health professional to assess the merits of a temporary development moratorium. Thank you.
Next, Stephen Brown, followed by Nicole Gardner.
Hi. My name is Steve Brown. I live out in the Rolling Hills Estates area. My wife and I have been a long time Vineland residents. In 1999, we started looking for a lot to build our house and eventually bought one over that area. We liked this area because it was quiet, peaceful, out in the country, and it's mostly farmland and woods. We built a house in 2000 and moved in early 2001. Jumping forward 25 years, we're now faced with the decimation of much of the farmland and forests that were adjacent to our neighborhood. The golf course has turned out to be something out of reach for virtually all Vineland residents, although I admit it is still better than having the 300-acre solar farm that was previously proposed. I'll wait to see what the golf course looks like when it's completed. However, when driving down Hansbridge Road, it's like driving past a prison or a major highway with the massive concrete walls. I'm sure there are more walls to come around the Swarovski's, pyramids, and the Antonio place. In my opinion, even a tall wrought iron fence would have been more aesthetic, as it would have been at least allowed neighbors and anyone traveling past to enjoy the scenery, greens, fairways, and such. The stretch along Milwaukee Landing Road is somewhat better with attractive landscaping. Otherwise, it just seems like it's an in-your-face keep out sign that locals are not wanted. Anyway, the golf course is what it is. That brings me to the data center project. It seems that I, like many residents in the area, have been unaware, or at least under-aware of the plans for the project. On the surface, it looks like we were purposely deceived. The old youth ball field was demolished and a golf course was initially constructed. This purportedly was to be a public course. However, soon after, the fence along Lincoln Avenue was screened off with some kind of black barrier material. Behind this curtain, the data center started to go up, while it still appeared that the golf course was being developed. Was this a deliberate effort to obscure what was going on? The city council stated they had posted legally required notices, and that may be so. However, doing the bare minimum to meet the legal requirements is one thing, but perhaps they should have gone a little further. Notices would have been mailed to residents within a certain radius of the project. Notices would have been included in newsletters that come out with the electric bills. You could even come out to the neighborhood and visit and spoken with people. It seems like this is only done when you're asking us for votes. Posting public notices buried in a sea of other public notices in a paper that isn't even a local paper anymore just seems like a convenient excuse for not getting the message out. Now that this project is underway, we're faced with a lot of unknowns. Is this going to be an air-cooled facility as stated in the June 26, 2024 Special Planning Board minutes? Indications are now that it's going to be a water-cooled facility using from what I thought was 2 to 3 million gallons of water per day. Now I hear 200 million per year. That seems a lot of water, a mile from my house. What's going to happen to our wells in the area? 2, what noise levels are we going to be subject to? The minutes from that same meeting also mentioned noise, and I quote, "Data centers almost have no noise to them at all." That's the way it was written in the notes. And further, the minutes state he is unaware if anyone will hear the generators when the power goes out. Perhaps the data center itself won't generate any noise, but the generators and cooling water pumps certainly will. From our home, which is about a mile away, we can hear the constant drone of machinery. I'm guessing it's either generators or pumps running 24/7. Depending on which way the wind blows, it can range from mildly irritating to outright annoying. Not only is this noise heard from outside our house, but inside the house. I woke up many nights between 2 and 3 in the morning to the sound of this noise droning on that ground. It is non-stop. Now, today I didn't notice it, but for the last 3 months, when I first became aware of it, my wife said, "Hey, is there a helicopter in the neighborhood?" I'm like, "No." She said, "It sounds like there's a helicopter." And I listened, and I'm like, "That's not a helicopter, but it does sound like one, but it's not moving." So, I guess my other thing is, so I talked about the noise. You know, it's rumored that there's a 25-year tax abatement. So how does that help us out over the next 25 years? In jobs, and that was all talked about last time. Seems like 50 to 75 jobs is not a big win for the city of Lyman. Anyway, I came here because I figured if I didn't come and speak my piece, at least you guys can't say, "Well, you never told us." So now I've told you, and thank you.
Thank you.
Nicole Gardner, followed by Justin Roy.
Hello, my name is Nicole Gardner and I'm a Vineland resident. I don't have a specific request of the council today. I have more of a general statement. Reading this resolution to provide the revolving loan funds to Data One in the amount of nearly $6.2 million is astounding. Specifically the line, whereas it is considered to be in the best interest of the city of Vineland and in the community in particular. The fact that you think without any reservations that this kind of loan benefits the members of your community mean you either don't know what the citizens of Vineland want or you don't care. Either way, it's a slap in the face of the people you serve, considering how long most of you have sat on this council. If nothing else, this development will bring about a grassroots movement of local residents who are tired of being left out of the conversation by those in charge. It's highly unlikely at this point that this project won't continue to move forward. I can only hope that it serves as a monument of your hubris, a daily reminder that we all need to be part of the conversation, otherwise a few will get to make the decision that works for them and not for us. Thank you.
Justin followed by Steve Solo. How do you say the last name, sir?
Roy.
Roy. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
You good? My name is Justin Roy. I live in Philadelphia for college, but I'm a proud Vinelander. This is my home. I came on a 3-hour bus ride today to speak here today. I love the city. It is my home. It is the humble opinion of this Vinelander that its government operates in contempt of this city. Many of you say that you desperately want the city of your youth to return, yet many of you have been part of defunding and destroying every aspect that made it great. You operate in contempt of its residents for challenging you. I'm sorry to tell you, but if you can't listen to a contradictory viewpoint without calling someone an a-hole on the mic, maybe you shouldn't have run for office. If you can't tell already, I'll be happy to be the one to break it to you. You lot aren't fooling anyone. If you aren't operating as agents to defend this data center, then why are you so personally insulted by people coming to challenge it? Why are you repressing people of the city's constitutional rights of freedom of speech and assembly at the library? If you don't know what's going on the property because it's private land, as if zoning boards and urban planning aren't something municipal government has or does, and if you share some of our concerns, Mr. Spinelli, as you claim to do, then why do you guys want to detach yourself from Data One so much? What's with the $6 million loan you want to give them for 2 cranes? Why is a poor city in the poorest county in the state giving corporate welfare to a major corporation whose parent companies and partners have millions in assets? If Data One wants 5 new cranes, shouldn't they pull themselves up by the bootstraps like we're expected to do in our own lives when we want to buy something? And what's with all the shadiness? We already are going to have to flip the bill for potential electric hikes and air pollution. What about our seniors, many of who live on fixed incomes like pensions and Social Security? What about young people who are struggling to afford to have any stability at all? And what's with all the shadiness? Are you scared that Vinelanders are finally going to council meetings? Are you mad that you can't rush through every meeting anymore, passing what you want without controversy? I'm sorry to report to you that the days that you operate without impunity are over. The people of this city are waking up, they're watching, and if that scares you, then you got some reflecting to do. Enough with the weaponized incompetence. You guys know what you're doing, and you know what's up in this city. Because if you really don't, that means your incompetence reaches a level that we must vote you out of your jobs for being unqualified anyways. To the council members of conscience, who maybe you're thinking maybe what we're doing is wrong, you got a question on yourself. Which side are you on? Is your loyalty to Team Finucci, to the good old boys, or the corporate interests, or is it to us, the city's residents, to the city's young people? I graduate from undergrad at Temple this upcoming year, and I'd really like to think I have a home to come back to when I do. Mr. Finucci says he wants to combat brain drain in the city. This is not how you combat brain drain. This is not how you do economic development. By making Vineland what we in the geography trade call a sacrificial zone. Sacrificing the city's resources and the things that make this area great, like its publicly owned utilities, our agriculture, our forested areas. And where's the environmental impact study for this data center? Where's the employment analysis? Most data centers that are being built now are operated remotely. Who is this place going to hire and how many? How many of them will be from the city if they do? I'll tell you this much, I'm not convinced of the leadership of this city council or its agenda, and I doubt many here are either. You are doing to us what the leaders of the cities of Camden and Chester did in the 80s to their communities, slamming them with the literal trash of incinerators and prisons, taking any fat cat millionaire who says they'll buy property as if it were divine revelation. Last time I checked, that mentality in those projects failed to help their cities and invited worse and worse land uses. They also failed to employ their own people. Those fools sacrificed their homes to most vulnerable communities, and that's what you're doing with this data center. We already got prisons in this county. Now we're going to turbo nuke our water table with a millionaire golf course and this data center nonsense? And for what? So someone that doesn't live here can make millions? For someone to make a poor quality piece of artificial intelligence artwork to post to Facebook? Is sacrificing our clean air, our water, and our town's future worth that? This is my home. This is our home. This community raised me, and I will not sit idly by as you lot try to destroy it. My home is not a sacrificial zone, and we the people are not sacrificial lambs. Like it or not, the politics of this city is changing, and we shall be the ones to change it. This is the People's City Hall, this is the People's City, and we deserve a say in how it's run. Remember, when you vote to approve or deny this loan, your position in that chair is dependent on us. And if you want to stay in that chair, I'd urge you to vote no on that $6 million. Or come the next election, we'll find someone else to sit in the chair. Thank you very much.
Steve Solon, followed by Matthew Williams.
I'm short. Good evening, everyone. My name is Steve Solov. I live in Vineland, and I run InformTheVoteNJ.com. For those here in the room or watching at home who haven't heard of me and my project before, a few years ago, I had a genuinely difficult time finding basic candidate information about local elections. I spent weeks Googling, calling, emailing, sending social media messages, and discovering the hard way that our local newspaper infrastructure had seemingly collapsed. So I built a website to make it easier for the public to review all the information in one place. And because so much of that information simply didn't exist, I evolved into also producing interviews, videos, and other press-related content so voters could actually see where the candidates stood. I'm here tonight largely because campaign season has already begun, and at least one prospective candidate is in the room, meaning coverage is directly relevant to my project. But before anything else, I want to offer a little perspective that I don't think most people see, especially for those of you casting aspersions online about some of our elected officials. When I was struggling to get this project off the ground, after 6 weeks of dead ends and unanswered emails, do you know who picked up the phone, listened, and pointed me in the right direction? Mayor Finucci. He didn't just help once, he has consistently communicated and supported the idea that voters deserve accessible information. He has directly participated in my project, provided campaign information, and explained issues happening in Vineland so the public could understand them. And let me mention someone else who has done similar. Council President Paul Spinelli, who told me when he was running for re-election, give me a few more weeks, I just want to make sure you know I'm not dodging you. That kind of communication means a lot, especially compared to what I often experience countywide. Just last night in Lawrence Township, despite my good faith effort to cover their upcoming election, the reception was, let's just say, less than ideal. On the other hand, when I hear some of the complaints going around from residents, I do want to offer some empathy. Some leaders in Cumberland County communicate very well. Some others do not. I cannot count the number of unanswered emails, unreturned calls, and moments of stonewalling I've encountered. So when I hear comments like, well, so-and-so usually gets back to me, that may be true, but it's equally plausible that it isn't true for the average resident. And when I hear maybe we should do a better job getting information out, I would gently suggest that the maybe in that sentence is what's up for debate. I've been seeing something clearly over the past few years. When the Middle Mile broadband project was up for discussion, there was a major town hall at CC Tech. Congressman Drew, Senator Testa, DC lobbyists, and a full packed room. When Policy 5756 was the issue, the Landis building overflowed with parents, students, church groups, activists, everyone. When the NABAB extension needed explanation, there was a town hall at the 4-H building. And just last week, Cumberland Regional High School held a full town hall for their bond referendum. In other words, when government believes something crosses the common sense threshold of we should probably talk to the public before we do this, town halls regularly happen. And I will be honest, I had no idea about the upcoming data center project being controversial until controversy began circulating online. That loops back to why my project exists. Former Commissioner Director Cilio once told me after one of my public comments in Bridgeton that what I'm experiencing is probably due to the lack of a newspaper. He wasn't wrong, but I think the more accurate point is this. What maybe everyone in this room might be experiencing, at least in part, is the lack of a functioning local press. Because a piece of paper with text on it is not strong journalism. Standards and work ethic are what create strong journalism. So, in closing, my suggestion is simple. If we want a strong pipeline of information, we all have to commit to the two-way street we oftentimes talk about. The public has to participate consistently, not just when there's a convenient controversy. Government should make proactive, good faith efforts to keep people informed before decisions are finalized. And some type of local press, whether it's me, others, or ideally many voices, has to help bridge the gap. Because the average resident cannot research every issue, and the average elected official cannot anticipate every concern. So all I'm asking for across the entire county is that we communicate better moving forward. Thank you.
Matthew Williams, followed by Kate Delaney. Kate Delaney.
Good evening, Council. Matt Williams, Vineland resident. First off, I'd like to say Sue Finelli's name's come up a lot recently on what I see as the right side of things when it comes to sustainability. Her work ensuring safe, quality water for the area, and her education through her efforts are measurable contributions, and I'm glad to see that they're honored today. Vineland's role in protecting nature's resources and ecosystems can't be underestimated. See, our water supply is strained at the moment. New Jersey has just entered a drought warning status with 2 weeks of extremely dry groundwater conditions for our region. We have now gone 13 of the past 15 months with below average rainfall totals. In 2018, in this room, representatives from the Association of the New Jersey Environmental Commissions stood here and explained their reasons to believe that the Kirkwood-Cahanty Aquifer is being depleted at dangerous levels. As we know, aquifers are reliant on groundwater recharge, and drought conditions add further risks to this fact. Now, to anyone that I've asked, it's been incredibly uncertain how much water will be used by the data center. Calculations were provided on assumptions without full design information, and so far we haven't seen or heard anything that says this info has been provided. The implications are terrifying when you consider the governor's conditional veto. Data centers are currently not required to fully report under energy use when operating. Even if it's a percentage of the billion gallons a year initially speculated, because again, design criteria was not provided, I would think any significant use will further risk our supply. Now, right now, we are told that the data center is an air-cooled, radiator-like system and that any water use would only replenish cooling methods. Well, what does preventative maintenance look like? Where does the waste go when you flush, clean, brine the system? Shallow, unconfined aquifer water supplies, such as the Kirkwood-Cohansey, are more susceptible by groundwater contamination. Is the City Council going to hear and consider the questions that we have now, or are we asking 5 years too late? Are you aware that online comments by shareholders of Nebius stock celebrate easy regulatory environments? What do you think that says about how they view the City of Vineland is handling this? Please tonight vote no on expediting the construction of the data center and work with us to call for a moratorium and evaluate what is getting put up. Thank you.
Delaney, followed by Andrew Rich.
Good evening, City Council members. Thank you for the opportunity to speak here tonight. Sorry, I'm a little loud. My name is Kate Delaney, and I'm the South Jersey organizer for New Jersey Food and Water Watch. We're a national environmental organization. I'm a resident of Camden County and a lifelong South Jerseyan. A goal of Food and Water Watch, our main areas of action are addressing climate crisis, protecting public water, and opposing new fossil fuel projects. And I would say that the issue that has brought your residents out here tonight actually, unfortunately, checks all 3 boxes. It's my understanding that this data warehouse would eventually be powered by 3 frac gas plants, which would further the climate chaos that we've already experienced here in South Jersey. You've heard many of your residents talk about water impact. As Matthew just said, right, this is proposed for the Kirkwood-Cohansey aquifer, which is already overtaxed. And again, this is also, an economic impact on your residents. Costs are rising on everything. Certainly, energy costs are rising, and this would ask the residents of Vineland to foot the bill. And apparently, the corporation may be getting a 25-year tax abatement. So this is really being subsidized by the people of Vineland for corporate profits. A student was here earlier and talked about similar things that have happened in the city of Camden and other places. I've watched that happen, and they are losing deals for the residents. So I'm here in solidarity with the community members in Vineland who are calling out the water wastefulness, the potential endangerment of the aquifer, how this would continue to climate crisis and would just be economically a burden for residents. So I'm joining them and asking you to please vote no to this project and put residents first. Thank you.
Andrew Brett, followed by Suzanne Middleton.
Good evening, City Council. My name is Andrew, and I'm here to express my concern with the external costs the data center will impose upon our community.
Can you just state what city you live in?
Yes, Vineland, New Jersey. Anyway, I'd like to read to you some items that I pulled directly from the city's website to help establish a timeline and some background. These are available online for anyone who wishes to review the information's ability. Number 1, on the city's planning board homepage, there's a tab, Rules for Citizen Engagement. Within this tab, in the first paragraph, quote, meeting agendas are posted on the City of Vineland's website 1 week in advance. quote. Please remember that detail. Number two, in June of 2024, there was a special meeting announced for the project, and the agenda is posted on the city's website. The minutes from this special meeting offer an illustration of the project. The applicant's attorney states, quote, data centers have almost no noise to them at all, end quote. I can tell you personally, that's just not true. I live about 3/4 of a mile away. I hear this thing vibrating through my house while I'm reading my children bedtime stories. It's concerning. Number three, additional notes from that 2024 special meeting. When asked about power generation, the applicant's attorney states, quote, he is unaware if anyone will hear generators when the power goes out, end quote. How often does the power go out? Not very often, right? So the city professional staff, planning board members, and the public have no concern here. I'll also mention on the plan for that meeting, there were no generators or power buildings displayed. Fast forward nearly a year, June of 2025, there was a second special meeting addressing some major changes to the site plan, but this time, is there a meeting agenda posted on the city site as they promised? No. No, there isn't. What was revealed at the meeting? A new site plan with Vineland's newest private power plant, cranking out nearly 13% of what the Salem nuclear power plant produces. It's a massive project. Generators and turbines humming 24/7, putting out a full gambit of emissions that decrease life expectancy, turn children into asthmatics, damage sleep cycles, and disturb the general peace. Did this go through the proper permitting for a private power plant? Yeah. Before this was ever going to be a data center, it needed to be a power plant. A detail that was held out at the June 2024 meeting, a detail likely spared when presenting information to the Environmental Commission, the professional staff, not to mention the general public. At the end of last month's City Council session, after hearing the public's call to arms over the project, we were met with a remark from Council claiming that we didn't do our due diligence and that we should have been paying more attention. As previously mentioned, we were paying attention. However, the application came with false statements and further meeting agendas were kept hidden. We followed the city's rules for citizen engagement listed on the website. Shouldn't the city follow their own rules as well? To further add insult to injury, the chairman recounts a recent time where he faced some adversity. He saw a water main break by his home. Being the concerned citizen that he is, he went over and asked questions. We walked over to the Data One site with inquiries. We would be met by armed Vineland police officers and turned away for trespassing. It's not apples to apples, Council, and the suggestion that it is offensive, sort of like the emissions from the data center. Lastly, we meet tonight with two very relevant items on the agenda, one being a proclamation honoring one of our environmental commissioners for her hard work, and the second being a massive $6 million loan from the city to the data center operators. For those who don't know, per city land use documents, the Environmental Commission is tasked with making recommendations to professional staff and board members regarding air pollution, noise control, water resource management, etc. However, they must be presented with all information to do their job thoroughly. I question whether they were given all the information relevant to a power plant. To any member of the Environmental Commission who is still in attendance this evening, for sake of continued dedication to environmental stewardship, it would be appreciated if you could share your recommendation from the previously conducted review of this project. Your statement may guide council's decision on a massive loan that will be provided to further pollute our community. Council members and the general public, I hope you all have a great holiday season, and I wish you a happy and healthy New Year.
Suzanne Middleton, followed by Victoria Rose.
Good evening, City Council members. Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. My name is Suzanne Middleton, and I'm a proud resident of Vineland. I'm here because I have serious concerns about the AI data center, and I know many others in our community share these concerns. At the last City Council meeting, we were told that it is our responsibility as citizens to pay attention to what is being planned and approved for our community. Well, you have our attention now. And while we absolutely take responsibility for being informed and involved, I must ask you, as our elected leaders, is it not your responsibility to look out for the best interests of this city? Were you aware of the massive amounts of water and electricity required to operate this center? Were you aware of the environmental impact, the constant noise from the cooling equipment, the use of backup generators, and the emissions associated with data center operations? Was an impact study done? One that clearly outlines how this facility will affect our community's quality of life? And if so, how did you conclude that these negative impacts were outweighed by benefits? What positive impacts do you believe this center will bring to Vineland? Because from where many of us stand, this project does not reflect the will of the people. And respecting the will of the people is also part of your responsibility to those that you represent. At this stage, we ask you to do everything in your power to stop the AI data center and consider a different path forward, one that truly aligns with Vineland's strengths and values. Vineland is known for its beautiful agricultural landscape, diversity, affordability, access to healthcare and entertainment, and proximity to both the city and the shore. These are the qualities that make our community special. These are the qualities that led Travel and Leisure magazine to name Vineland one of the top 10 places to retire in 2025. Our future prosperity lies in protecting and building on these assets, not sacrificing them. I urge you, please halt the AI data center project and choose a vision for progress that reflects what makes Vineland unique. Thank you for your time.
Victoria Lodes, followed by Laura Malak.
Malik.
Now, thank you.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
How are you? I'm Cumberland County Commissioner Victoria Lodes, also otherwise known as one of your Vineland residents. First and foremost, I want to take a minute to thank each and every one of you for your service to the City of Vineland. I don't think that should go unnoticed. As a fellow elected official, I'm no stranger to the amount of time, resources, and effort that goes into public service that I know each and every one of you put in. Over the last 25 years, I've spent a majority of my career working in various capacities in state, county, and municipal government, as many of you know. The issues that we are elected to vote on are wide and varied. Surely no one can be an expert in every area. I've learned so much over the years, as I'm sure each and every one of you have as well. But I know what I don't know. Some agenda items require research to understand, and I know how and where to seek out the experts. I need to educate myself and make sure that I can make the most responsible decision I can on behalf of the residents and taxpayers that I'm elected to represent. You know, we're here talking about political things tonight, but I wasn't always raised in a house that was like that. In fact, we were not a political household. We were a family of small business owners. There wasn't much time for anything but working. And I know some of you have very similar stories to that. I remember the first time I went to Trenton and I spent the day on the Senate floor as hundreds of bills lit up on the board for a full vote of the legislature. I went home later that night and I sat at the dinner table with my parents, and I was excited to share everything that had happened that day and tell my dad about some of the things I saw that I thought would affect our small family farm. And I said, Dad, I can't believe, how come we're not talking about these things? They're important. And his answer I'll never forget, because I didn't often hear it. He said, you're right. And he said, but these are policies that come down from the state, come down from everywhere, that impact us all the time. But unfortunately, Mother Nature's my boss, and she doesn't give personal days to go talk to politicians. And in that moment, that was where my calling for public service began. And that's why I'm here right now, talking to you. I wanted to be an advocate for the hardworking families who needed to help amplifying their voices to the decision makers at every level. And tonight, you are the decision makers. For weeks now, I've received hundreds of calls, emails, even house visits from concerned citizens and neighbors with questions about the Data One project. I've listened to the last several council meetings where so many people took the time to come here before all of you with incredibly well thought out, well-researched questions of concern about this project. And as an elected official myself, getting those same questions, I was doing my due diligence and my research. To date, it seems that very few, in fact, almost none of those questions have been answered. I am here tonight as a commissioner to do my job and to advocate for the people I was elected to represent. The same people all of you were elected to represent, to respectfully ask that this board answer the questions that have been asked in a thoughtful, intelligent, and some of these alarming questions need to be answered. I know each of you personally, and I know that transparency and responding to the public is important to you. If there's anything that I can do to help you facilitate that communication, I'm happy to do it. I'm also here tonight as a mother raising two sons about a half a mile away from this project, asking my own questions. What are the effects of living so close to 337 generators and dozens of gas turbines? I'm here as a taxpayer and City of Vineland electric utility customer asking what are the effects of building a private generation plant in our city. The Data One project requires 330 megawatts of power, and the city can provide 5. At what point does this project stop qualifying as a data center and instead qualify as a private power generation plant, producing nearly 99% of their energy? I'm also here as a daughter of a 5-generation family farm that neighbors this project in the city of Vineland, where it's always growing season, asking how Data One's reported. I mean, we can pull any number out. I've heard upwards of 11 billion gallons, enough water to power thousands and thousands of homes. How will this water usage affect the life supply of our farm, our water? Without it, we will cease to exist. Agriculture will cease to exist, and growing season will assuredly end. Again, I want to thank all of you for your service, for your time, for your attention, for standing up for the citizens of Vineland. I know that you want to answer these questions. We know that everyone's input matters to you, and I want to thank you in advance for taking the time to thoughtfully answer the questions that have been asked. Thank you.
Thank you.
I got it. Yeah. Thank you. As you can see, I'm pretty short. All right. My name is Laura Mallet. I am a very proud resident of Vineland, and I have the same concerns about this AI data center like everybody else. And I think I speak for everyone present in this room when I say we were not told anything about this AI data center, and having to find out via social media about this loan is pretty much a slap in the face. And I also think I speak for mostly everyone here when I say screw AI, because nothing good can come of it. We have seen AI being used to scrape data, to scrape writing, audio, tons of illustrations and art from artists and writers, both living and dead. And the one statistic I remember 2 weeks ago that Zach presented for this AI data center is 337 generators that would potentially be needed. And several of us came to the conclusion 2 weeks ago that you guys were in fact pretty much lied to about any data, any preliminary studies done that could potentially impact the environment, and I am pretty much convinced you guys were not given the correct info because the person who told you this was more concerned about money because of greed. Well, I think that incorporates everywhere, but anyway, to paraphrase from one of my favorite video games, Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater, What's it going to be? Where does your loyalty lie? Does it lie to the citizens of Vineland, or does it lie to the corporation that wants to build this AI data center? Does it lie with the people, or does it lie with your own personal self-interest? Does it lie with the people, or does it lie with your cushy seats on city council? If you were truly concerned about this AI data center and were going to vote no, which I really hope you guys do on this loan. Otherwise, if you vote yes, there are not a single one of you are going to be winning re-election when your term is up. Once again, I am spitballing the speech because I'm not the greatest at writing speeches. But as Victoria stated, yes, it is always farming season. That's one of Vineland's mantras. But have you considered the environmental impact? Have you considered the water usage, as was previously stated? Have you considered the drain on the grid? Can the grid handle the power load as it is without help from Atlantic City Electric? Absolutely not. The grid is old and work needs to be done to update it. And the fact that you are still convinced that this loan was even a thing that got even mentioned shows that it is your decision process is smack of ignorance, smack of ignoring our concerns as the people of this city. My grandfather, Nathan Mallett, once had a farm out on Elmer, and Vineland was once known as the egg capital. And I'm pretty sure my grandfather, may he rest in peace, would also be telling you guys the same thing. What are you doing? Have you actually given this enough thought? And I really don't think you have. No. Because it seems like you are prioritizing future profits, of which there won't be many, as was previously stated 2 weeks ago, over the concerns and what Vineland actually needs. As I stated 2 weeks ago, Chestnut Avenue is a complete hot mess from Main Road to Delsey at the bare minimum. Riding past what used to be a foot doctor's office and a tennis court is awful. And a friend of mine sent me a screenshot of something that I think you'll be interested to share. You'll be interested to hear. Where is it? Yes. Amazon Data Center linked to rare cancers and miscarriages in Oregon report warns. This report was originally appearing on Rolling Stone. And the tech giant Amazon has settled on agricultural land in the east of the state, exacerbating a problem of water pollution now linked to cases of cancers and miscarriages. Investigation into a health and political scandal in, this was a couple years ago, but the fact that cancer rates are going to go up, miscarriages are going to go up, the effect on the people as a whole is going to go up. My other question is, can this data center handle the potential of a natural disaster? Probably not.
Ma'am, wrap it up.
Thank you.
Your time is up. Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak publicly that hasn't signed in or form? Please state your name on the record. If you want to write it down, you can, but we need it on the record. So.
Sure. My name is Terry Reese. I'm an Atlantic County resident and candidate for Congress in 2026. Thank you for allowing me to speak here today. And I hope to I don't think I can do justice to what your residents have said in talking about this issue, but I'm going to try. South Jersey relies on the Kirkwood-Cohansey aquifer for nearly all of our drinking water. Hundreds of thousands of people depend on it every single day. And right now, it is under real strain. The New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection has already issued drought advisories asking families to conserve, with shorter showers, reduced outdoor use, and cutting back everywhere that they can. But while residents are being asked to do more with less, massive AI data centers, like the Data One project here in Vineland, are moving forward with the potential to use huge volumes of potable water to cool their servers. Large data centers of similar size across the country can require hundreds of millions of gallons of water per year, depending on the cooling technology that they select. And that water could come from the same aquifer that feeds our homes, our farms, and our small businesses. This proposed Vineland facility is enormous and one of the largest industrial projects in our region. The development of this size consumes the electricity of hundreds of thousands of homes and has the potential to add dramatic new pressure to a water system already stressed by drought and overpumping. And the residents are right to raise concerns about water availability, environmental damage, and long-term infrastructure costs. These concerns are justified, as a similar project in Swedesboro was just put on hold because the water impact analysis was not complete. And that tells us something that's very important. These are questions that must be answered before any project moves forward, not after ground has been broken. Let's be clear about the risks. Overpumping of this aquifer can lower water levels, dry up wetlands and streams, harm wildlife, and in some areas even lead to saltwater intrusion, an incredibly costly problem to reverse. High-volume industrial water use constrain municipal wells and treatment systems, forcing towns to upgrade infrastructure. And unless strong conditions are in place, those costs will fall on taxpayers and ratepayers, not the developers. Meanwhile, once again, families are asked to conserve while corporations face no clear commercial water use guidelines. In drought conditions, who is going to get the priority? Are residents who need drinking water or machines producing heat? This isn't about rejecting technology. It's about insisting on responsible development. We have amazing innovation, innovative leaders, and intelligence in our country and our area. And we have modern engineering solutions. Closed-loop cooling, recycled wastewater, stormwater capture, and solar offsets. Some data centers across the country already use them. The question is not whether responsible design is possible, it's whether we will require it. I am asking the Vineland City Council to pause all approvals and permits for this Data One Center until an independent, comprehensive analysis of its water demand, aquifer impact, and infrastructure costs released to the public and reviewed with full community input. And beyond that, the city should require the developers to use the least water-intensive cooling technology possible and available, prioritize non-potable or recycled water sources, and guarantee that no infrastructure upgrades are paid for by the Vineland families. This project should not advance another step without binding protections for our water, our environment, and our taxpayers. South Jersey deserves smart growth that strengthens our community, not development that drains our aquifer, burdens our families, or compromises our future. If corporations want to build here, they must respect the people who already live here. Because protecting our water means protecting our future, and nothing is more important than that. Thank you.
Just state your name and state your name, sir.
Roger Merle, born and raised in Vineland, currently living in Malaga. I'd like to make a couple points that have not been addressed here tonight. And the first is that mega projects like this do tend to become net negative assets for the communities they're in. One aspect that has not been mentioned here tonight, and it relates to all of the noise problems and pollution concerns and water depletion concerns that people have, is that I can guarantee you right now there is a very large percentage of people living in the impact zone around there, property owners, property taxpayers, who are planning to leave. And when they leave, their properties lose their value because nobody's going to want to come in and buy it and live next to this sort of nonsense. I don't think anybody has addressed that issue. Where is the benefit to the public, to property owners in that? Where is the benefit to the city? What does it do to the tax base? In terms of financing, there is no damn reason why the corporations and the deep pocket investors and the tech moguls cannot pay for this on their own. They are spending not tens of billions, but hundreds of billions of dollars just shuffling projects back and forth. The money is there. There is no reason why any taxpayer has to spend 1 penny for it.
Amen.
The other thing is, this area, I mean, it's going to become a project like the golf course. It's going to become a project like that egregious boondoggle called the Motorsports Park in Millville. A big money drain that does not produce jobs and, again, is a detriment to the environment in which it's located. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Lawrence Garrity. I'm from Vineland. According to Mr. Spinelli, I'm an asshole, though, so that's pretty cool.
I think we passed that.
I mean, you apologize to the whole crowd. You could apologize straight to me, and you said it after everybody left. You couldn't say it to my face. So, I mean, you could say you're past it. You were past it. 1 month ago is all it took. I came here on October 28th asking to understand what the hell was going on in the city. No King's Day was thrown out of the city, and the public library wasn't on nobody had meetings. 1 month. I came back after 1 month, and you didn't even know who I was. That's a problem. On December 2nd, I would finally get the email I asked for on October 28th. And the email showed a bullshit excuse for canceling the Down Jersey Coalition's meeting at the library. And a policy change for the library, barring political meetings from the meeting rooms. Most people didn't even know about this policy change, so they kept trying to make meetings and kept getting canceled without reason. When the public library opens up its meeting rooms to the public, they become public forums. How is this legal? Does the Constitution not matter in this city? For the No Kings protest, I was at best given misinformation, while the city council showed lack of knowledge regarding the old Sears property. Before the Down Jersey Coalition gave the Vineland police a heads up, the no trespassing signs were not all over the property. And there were consistent vehicles parking on said property. We didn't even learn the property was sold until 6 months ago in October, after the fact. As for who bought the property, True North, Mr. Spinelli's friend, I guess, most people, again, did not know who True North was. I will reiterate that this property will not provide jobs or property tax. On top of doing damage to our community, I'm going to talk about 3 videos that are publicly on their website and Subsplash. These are not hidden in any way and openly available to the public. The one video is called Politics, where Jesse Eisenhart goes on a Christian nationalist rant that he tries to justify with the Bible, encourages his congregation to get involved in local government and put their religion over the government. Jesse even claims separation of church and state is the enemy's tactic. That is his word. If you don't like what I have to say, get out of your seat.
It's inappropriate.
It's not inappropriate. You let True North into the city.
We did not sell the property. It was bought privately from the foundation.
It's your job to find property buyers. The property sat empty for 7 years.
That's because he's too close to the mic, so you could move the mic back because he's a lot taller than the short lady who was there last.
You want to fix the mic? Go ahead.
And at the end of the day, it does matter.
Jesse claims in a video, word for word, that separation of the church and the state is the enemy's tactic. He goes on in a video labeled Sexuality Part 1 at 25 minutes in, he goes on a homophobic rant, using the Bible again to justify it. In Sexuality 2, Liza Eisenhart talks herself about being a lesbian like she's a recovering alcoholic. She goes on to allude that being gay is a choice and that marriage can only be right with God and with a man and a woman. So did the city council not look into this place, or did you fail to represent your people? Is Jesse Eisenhart more important to Paul Spinelli than the people of Vineland? Because the people you claim to represent, they are gay, they are trans, they choose to follow the Bible, the Quran, or they just choose their own path in life. Who they love or worship is up to them. True does not want that. Now, what does all this have to do with the AI data center and a $6 million loan? The city council has a history of not keeping people informed, not doing their research, and not representing the people. They have shown irresponsibility and even ignorance when it comes to a citizen's concerns, going as far as City Council President Paul Spinelli calling me an asshole. It is time for change. Put the people first, and show the City Council gives a damn about them by voting no on this loan. Or we will find people who will stand up for the people of the city. Lastly, I'm not an asshole. I'm a concerned citizen who wants what is best for the city. I'm sorry that it's something so new to you. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Nicole Alvarez. I'm a Vineland resident. I've been here for more than 25 years. I'm here today because I'm concerned about the health and safety of my community and in Vineland's future. When I just recently heard about the data center, I wanted to seek out the facts for myself. Rather than rely on hearsay, I went straight to the source and filed a GOPA request with the City of Vineland. I requested any and all environmental reports or assessments related to this project. I was surprised by the very little information that was provided to me. One of the only documents provided with any useful information regarding the impacts was a 2-page letter completed by the Vineland Environmental Commission. This letter contains concerns surrounding the data center's noise, water consumption, impacts on water quality, electronic waste, and much more. Today I'd like to focus on one section from this letter. Quote, "The proposed development is in a wellhead protection area, which requires that an environmental impact statement be submitted. The planning board should have this for review prior to any approvals to determine if the proposed development will satisfactorily protect groundwater quality per City Code 425-84G, end quote. Through my due diligence, I confirm that the environmental impact statement does not exist for the data center. I researched this section of the code. I have it with me tonight. I can leave it here, and I highlighted the section, but I can confirm it does require the environmental impact statement. For those who do not know what an environmental impact statement is, it describes potential adverse impacts of the development and proposes steps by the developer to minimize those impacts during and after construction. This is the information I am running in circles searching for, along with everyone else here. Without this report, how can the city claim that this project will not have negative impacts on our community? How can the developer be held accountable without a clear plan to protect our water, soil, and air? My search for the facts was left open-ended because the city could not provide the facts. Residents deserve clear answers and corrective action. Don't allow this project to progress without the most basic environmental safeguards. I'm asking the city to demand the environmental impact statement required by law. I'm also asking the city to place a 6-month moratorium to pause this project pending the environmental impact statement. We need this information and much more to assess the health impacts of the data center. Lastly, I'm asking the city to vote no on the loan for additional cranes. These cranes will allow this project to accelerate even more aggressively. Please seek out the facts the rest of us are seeking. Don't allow this developer to continue to cut corners, and instead demand the facts so you can make a fully informed decision. Thank you.
I am Diane Garrity. That was my son. I lived in Vineland. I worked 2 jobs. Part of my job is working at Vineland Public Schools in special education program. It is called the RISE program. These children, hopefully, will get employment if they are able to. Part of their projects is to help the environment. You're gonna stop it. If the water, he goes all over the bluffs, he goes to White Oak, he takes these kids out, we plant trees, there's not gonna be any water. And these kids don't have a lot of job choices. They're not exactly gonna be able to go on to sit on a city council. Greenhouses might be their only hope. Helping parks might be their only hope. It gives these children purpose, and you're gonna take it. And I'm quite surprised that you would be willing to risk the environmental danger this is going to cause. We don't need anymore. What's that, global warming? It's not a joke. It's real. Aside from that, the True North Church that you were so full with, it's a mega church. It is a man-led church. It is not a Christ-led church. I'm a Catholic. I've been to several churches. My son met a young woman who was thrown out of her family because of that church. Her family was a part of that church for multiple years. He's allowed to be upset. Have a great night.
My name is Caitlin Rooney. I'm a Vineland resident now, and I had nothing prepared for tonight. I just came for pure education. I've been following this along. I've been looking into data centers since before I even heard about Vineland. So it seems like they're relatively new, and there's maybe not a lot of regulations. But I'm not getting back to what I was saying. I'm from Vineland. I'm not from Vineland. I'm from Camden County. And when I moved to Vineland, what I've learned over the years is I love Vineland. I love the people I've met. This community does care about each other. Everyone's related, everyone knows everyone. And neighbors watch out for neighbors, and it's just a nice place to live, especially the landscape, the agriculture, met lots of farmers, and the people here are great. So I have 2 daughters. I live in East Vineland. I have a well, so there's a lot of unknown and scary things and questions that people have. So I just think that it's really responsible to look into more, since these are new centers, and maybe there's not a lot of regulations and research on it yet. So if we don't know that, then we don't know the impact. And I think everyone has valid questions. And if you want your house right next to that, it's something to consider. We don't know about the pollution and the off gassing. The water consumption, they've said, is being recycled, gas turbines, from what I researched. But in nature keeps a balancing act. That's the way it was made, and it's man that throws that off. So we really have to think about the long-term consequences. Everybody here probably has children, grandchildren, and I'm a nurse, so I know our health, general population is declining. More asthmatics, COPDs. We can't say that it's all our lifestyle. There's a lot of environmental impacts. And so if we don't know, sometimes technology is great, but then we found out, even in medicine over time, things that were prescribed or given to help were harmful. And this may be the same thing. And it won't be you. It may not affect your children. It may not even affect your grandchildren. It might be affected after that. So if Nebius wouldn't put this, I don't know, it seems like they've come to like an economically declined area. And lots of times those areas are, they're chosen for a specific reason. So, because there's not a lot of pushback, there's not a lot of community involvement. And that's what I love about Vineland. That's why all these people are here today. So I appreciate you listening, and I just hope that you really take into consideration the impact that it's going to have, not only environmentally, but the people that are living there generally feel bad about their house value. That's life-changing to people. And this is an area where general people are not making a lot of money. And if you want to keep them here, you know,
This is something that you make those decisions to improve your community and bring people in to want to come to Vineland, like I did. So I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing no one, we'll close the public session.
Mr. President, I present ordinance number 2025-88, an ordinance amending ordinance 89-13 as amended, chapter 425, article 1, section 425-5.